What the happened in Super Bowl XXIX? It was January 29th, 1995, and Miami was about to host a clash between two teams from Cali in a game that would define both franchises for years to come. The San Francisco 49ers entered the game with a league best 13-3 record, leading the NFL in total points scored that year. To get there, they'd aggressively reshaped their roster in the offseason, bringing in defensive veterans like the electrifying Deion Sanders with one goal in mind, finally beating Dallas and winning a Super Bowl. And that's exactly what they did, dispatching the Cowboys in a dominant NFC Championship game. And at the center of it all was quarterback Steve Young, who had spent years living in Joe Montana's shadow despite being one of the most gifted passers in the league. And until the 1994 season, he'd been criticized for never winning a truly important game. This year, backed by the GOAT Jerry Rice and running back Ricky Watters, he was determined to change that narrative once and for all. The San Diego Chargers, meanwhile, were a team that almost nobody saw coming. Quarterback Stan Humphries guided an offense powered by a bruising Pro Bowl running back Natron Means, who racked up 1,350 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns, while the defense was anchored by Junior Seau, widely regarded as the best middle linebacker in football at the time. San Diego won their first 6 games, finishing 11-5, and captured the AFC West before pulling off back-to-back playoff upsets over Miami and Pittsburgh to reach their first and last Super Bowl appearance. The Niners received the ball first, in great position due to a face mask on the opening kick, and started things off with a few boilerplate plays, picking up a first down on a quick throw to running back Ricky Watters before Young tossed a rainbow to the GOAT, Jerry Rice, up the seam, and he split the defenders, cashing in on only the third play of the game to go up 7-0 in a flash. The Chargers weren't beating the underdog allegations so far. Humphries completed a throw to Mark Say to get them to 3rd and 1, but on the crucial down, Humphries missed the open Sean Jefferson well past the sticks, and they'd come up empty on their opening drive, booting it back to the heating up Niners offense. On a big 3rd and 3, Steve Young did what he does best and found a crease in the line and got rolling towards the sideline, going out after a big time gain to get them near midfield. The very next play, he'd fake a handoff, and the lefty would throw a frozen rope over the middle against San Diego's too high safety look to the dual threat back Watters, who shrugged off 2 tacklers, galloping all the way to the crib, and in a matter of minutes, the 49ers were now up 14-0 off 2 gargantuan plays. Humphries got the San Diego offense moving on the next drive, dropping off a hitch throw to their dual threat back, Ronnie Harmon, and sneaking forward for their first down of the game before a few short runs by Natron Means got them up to the 40, where Humphries pinned a dart on Harmon coming over the middle this time. The back took it into Niners territory in stride before eventually getting pulled down. Humphries managed to get the Niners to jump off sides on the next set of downs, and they'd managed to convert again on 3rd and short as the boys up front opened the gates for Harmon to get him up to the 25. On the following 2nd down, they'd open a hole again, this time for Means, who rumbled forward, diving down at the 10, where Sean Jefferson draw a huge flag in the end zone to get them knocking on the door, where they'd hand it to the big back Means again, and he'd leap over the tight end and into the end zone to get them back into the game 7-14 halfway through this dynamite first quarter. San Fran's offense picked up right where they left off on the next drive. Jerry Rice went up and plucked a high ball over the middle to kick things off before they'd implement some trickery to get him the ball again on a reverse, where he'd take a big-time shot on the sideline. John Taylor had to go down low to get Young's next pass, grabbing it right before it hit the turf for another conversion, and Young to get himself loose again on another scramble, where he'd hurdle a defender on the sideline, getting popped after the big gain by Junior Seau, and a jump off sides got them even closer to the end zone next, and they'd finally cash in, with Young dumping it underneath to the rookie fullback William Floyd, who managed to fall in and reestablish the 2-score lead for San Francisco, putting them up 21-7. The Chargers went 3 and out again on their next possession, starting with Humphries getting sacked by Stubblefield, and ending with a wild throw that could have easily gone the other way, while crucially, Jerry Rice would go and take a visit to the locker room after the crushing hit he received earlier in the game on the end around. With Rice, also went San Fran's offensive momentum though, because they'd also go 3 and out on their drive, with Young missing a shot down the sideline and Ed McCaffrey popping up a tough catch that luckily fell incomplete on 3rd down. Their defense did a great job smothering the Chargers again, backing them up against their own end zone, where they'd punt after another 3rd and forever situation. Getting the ball in Charger territory, the Niners got to work again, dicing up San Diego's defense little by little until they were inside the 10, and from the 2-back set, Young found the mismatch of Watters on the linebacker Dennis Gibson, and he'd stride on in for the 4th touchdown of the half, putting them up 28-7. Humphries and Say got the offense going with a big-time run after catch on 2nd down, and Sean Jefferson managed to get them onto San Fran's side of the field on an end-around rush attempt before they dump it down to the future Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy on a screen, and he'd get rolling big time to get them knocking on the door. Well, their Mickey Mouse run would come to an end as Humphries missed on 1st, Means dropped the pass in the the end zone on second, and on third, the QB just flat out threw it to a clamped Alfred Papunu, and they'd have to settle for 3, cutting into the massive lead 10-28. The Niners got it back one more time before half, and it started off strong with Young chucking it down the sideline to the big tight end Brent Jones to instantly cross midfield with plenty of time left, where they'd keep picking apart the defense, working themselves easily into field goal range, but Doug Brienne biffed the hell out of the kick, and it had no chance, so San Diego would get one last shot before half. They managed to quickly get up to the 45, where Humphries loaded up, launching an absolute missile headed for Tony Martin open in the end zone, but the speedster outran his QB's arm, and Eric Davis was given the interception for coming down with the ball, although he didn't really maintain control of it. I don't really know the catch rules for back then, guys, so let me know in the comments what was up with that. Young knelt on it to bring it into the half, and the Chargers would get another go to kick off the second. Another big third down arose, and another drop, this time by Martin, into their drive. The Niners picked up right where they left off, instantly moving the chains with Rice on the sideline, where things turned grim as Young got sacked big time for a loss, but they instantly converted the 3rd and 17 as Young pinned a javelin on the sure-handed Rice deep over the middle. They kept wheeling and dealing for a while to get inside the 10, but they'd hand it off to Waters, and once again he'd find pay dirt. The Niners kicked their feet up for a brief moment. Well, they'd have to sit up for a moment though, as Andre Coleman fielded the kickoff and found a seam in the wedge up front, getting an explosive return near the 40. Surely you won't do that again later though. The Chargers got a little motion on the drive, but ultimately they'd be forced to try their luck on 4th and 7, where Eric Davis nearly picked off the risky ball, and the Niners would take over on the spot. The Chargers defense would do a decent job holding them to 3rd and 14, but once again, they sold as Darian Gordon got a little too handsy with Rice in coverage, and they'd get the flag. Waters took a blazing run around the edge next for another conversion, and a few plays later on 3rd and 13, Young would find Rice on the dig over the middle, and he'd cash in, and the massacre would continue 42-10. San Diego wouldn't go quietly into the night yet though, as Andre Coleman quickly found himself breaking the kicker's ankles and flat out flying down the sideline for a 98-yard kick return tutty. Interestingly, this is the first 2-point conversion ever attempted in a Super Bowl, and it was indeed successful as Humphries put it on Say standing in the end zone to make it 18-42 nearing the end of the third quarter. The Chargers forced a punt out of the Niners again on their next drive as Waters couldn't quite find the marker, but once again, they'd be denied on 4th down as Natron Means had nowhere to go, turning it right back over to the Niners in scoring position. Waters found the edge again to get them knocking on the door, and on the following 3rd down, Young tossed it out in front of Rice, and for the 3rd time, he hauled one in for the score, and this also marked Steve Young's 6th touchdown pass of the game, breaking Joe Montana's record of 5 as they'd go up 49-18, essentially sticking the dagger in the Chargers to start the 4th quarter. On the following drive, Humphries would get injured while airing it out for Jefferson unsuccessfully, needing to be replaced by Gail Gilbert for the remainder of the drive, but the Chargers drove downfield, only for the backup QB to toss a pick to Deion Sanders in the end zone. Humphries would come back into the game on their next drive, tossing up a prayer for a pick of his own. Steve Young came out of the game, and from there, it was so bad that they showed head coach George Seifert getting his Gatorade bath over Tony Martin's garbage time touchdown, and on the 2-point conversion, Papunu would make the score a little more respectable 49-26, where the game would eventually come to an end with a last-second heave by Humphries going out the back of the end zone, and Steve Young was finally able to get the monkey off his back, leading the team to glory in a record-breaking performance, emerging from Joe Montana's long shadow and winning San Fran their 5th and final Lombardi trophy.